Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out why Ozempic will change society forever by Kurzgesagt. I do have to start off by saying I have no idea what Ozempic even is. I mean, I'm assuming it's some sort of drug, some sort of medicine, but that's pretty much all I know, so let's check it out.
Ozempic or Mounjaro have done what diets and willpower have failed to do so far. Make millions lose massive amounts of weight with seemingly mild side effects.
So it's for fat people.
More than 1 in 8 US adults have tried the drugs. For the first time in history, the country's obesity rate actually fell. Since obesity is one of the unhealthy, the country's obesity rate actually fell.
The obesity rate is over 40%.
Obesity is one of the unhealthiest things.
That's
in the world.
embarrassing.
This seriously poses the question: should we give these drugs to everyone who is overweight to spark a medical revolution like we?
I will start off by saying no. People should actually learn discipline and how to eat healthy instead of just being handed a cheat code. This won't solve the issue.
Did with antibiotics and vaccines. The obesity trap. At its core, being overweight or obese is a mismatch between how much you eat and how much your body needs. Eat more calories than you burn, and
you
your
just
body will
eat
store
too
it as
much.
fat. Eat less, and you'll lose it. But just because something depends on what you do, it doesn't mean it's your fault. Your drive to eat is programmed by evolution and can easily hijack your conscious decisions. For most of our history, food was scarce, so when our ancestors found a calorie bomb, binging on it was the best of ideas. The more sugar, fat and salt, the better. Our brains are wired to love these foods. They bring pleasure, enjoyment,
if you cannot
and
stop
mental
yourself from
release.
eating, even though you know you shouldn't,
in a world where food
you
was
just
the
have
most
no
important
willpower.
thing to worry about each day.
That's an
And
issue.
then the world changed overnight. And
You need to
suddenly
learn
food
discipline.
was cheap, calorie-dense, and hyper-palatable. Our ancient biology hijacked our modern behavior. Most of us can't help ourselves and overeat regularly. Today, over 40% of adults are overweight, and obesity affects 1 billion humans and kills almost 4 million annually. If trends continue, by 2050, 1 in 3 adults on Earth will be obese, and half of humanity will be overweight. Since being overweight is also shamed on top of being unhealthy,
As it
we
should
tried
be.
to fix our overeating behavior with all sorts of, well, behavioral methods. The world is filled with diets and healthy habits campaigns. But anyone who's been on a diet before knows that it's hard and no fun at all. Not only are you fighting your deep evolutionary...
Look, I'm sorry, but I will always clown on people who say losing weight is difficult. The vast majority of people who are overweight simply because they eat too much. Not because their body is different or something. It's not genetic. The majority of people simply eat too much. And losing weight is really not that hard. Just put down the shovel and pick up a fork instead. Just stop eating so goddamn much.
Reprogramming, you're cutting down on a major source of comfort, social activity, and good feelings. And if you've finally lost weight and want to ease up a little, you're back in the regular world full of amazing foods. Self-regulating around modern food is just too hard. So
no, it
almost
isn't.
Everybody who loses weight struggles to keep it that way or puts back on even more. So if fixing our habits doesn't work, what if we fix our biology?
I'm sorry, but this video is honestly already really pissing me off. Just the fact that there's now a drug for people who have zero discipline and cannot control themselves, it just pisses me off. This drug is not needed. It's not. If people just controlled themselves even a little bit, obesity wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't. I'm quite sure I've read somewhere before that in the world currently, there is enough food being produced for everybody so that nobody has to go hungry. But obviously, that food is not evenly distributed. The majority of it goes to rich countries, like here in the West. So obviously, these people are eating too goddamn much, and others are not getting enough. It's funny, isn't it? World hunger is an issue. But here we have making drugs for people who eat too much because they cannot control themselves. It's honestly just disgusting.
Ozempic and Co. Many eating behaviors, eat now or later, chocolate or vegetables, are actually governed by an orchestra of hormones that are not within your control. You're not hungry in the evening because you decide to be or because this is when your body needs energy, but because your body releases certain hormones. And it turns out your fat is one of the major regulators of this orchestra. If you're overweight or obese, the excess fat is throwing your hormonal orchestra out of tune. This may make you more hungry or push you to overeat more, creating insulin resistance that causes type 2 diabetes and so on.
Yep.
We made a video if you want details. But there's one
I've
specific
watched that
hormone
video.
that plays its tune quietly in the background, even in obese people. The glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1. It's one of the hormones your body releases after a meal. It tells your pancreas to release more insulin to keep blood sugar in check and slows down your digestion to keep food in your stomach. And in your brain, it increases your feeling of fullness and being satisfied, curbing your appetite. These effects are usually modest. Once in your bloodstream, GLP-1 disappears in barely 2 minutes, its song quickly fading away. So one day, scientists had an idea. What if we made artificial copies of GLP-1 that play the same song but louder and much longer? A GLP-1 signal that stays in your body would boost insulin and silence appetite. The first artificial GLP-1 was approved in 2005 for diabetes and in 2014 for obesity, but the revolution came with semaglutide and tirzepatide, Ozempic and Mounjaro. Really powerful GLP-1 agonists that play their songs in your bloodstream for up to a week. They send out a loud and steady signal that dials down your appetite 24/7. You still enjoy food, but you feel full and satisfied much sooner, making it easy to not overeat. And since the song never really switches off, you feel less hungry throughout your day, making you eat less often.
Yeah, I highly
How
doubt this is actually gonna
intensely you
work.
feel hunger is largely genetic, so especially people who suffer from food noise, a constant urge to eat, feel a huge psychological relief from the drug. Finally, their body stopped screaming at them. Suddenly, you're dieting without expending willpower, without really thinking about it. It feels magically effortless. By changing your biology, a drug changes
So basically,
your
just don't
behavior.
put any effort
But,
into being healthy.
Is this a
Just
good
use
thing?
drugs.
Miracle
Apparently it
drugs.
works.
Many people try a crash diet at some point in their lifetime, and it's not that crash diets don't work, they do. You can lose 20% of your weight in 3 months from 95 to 75 kilos or 130 to 105. But such a sudden drop
You
is
can.
not very healthy.
It's
and
too
for the
much,
vast
though.
majority, the weight will come back within a year.
You should be dropping it slower.
Diets that are sustainable are actually not diets but long-term lifestyle changes.
Yes.
But this is painfully slow, so a lot of people
People will be like, oh yeah, I'm on a diet. Meanwhile, they're eating shit like McDonald's or other fast food. Or drinking Coca-Cola, Pepsi, any other just garbage food that's not good for your health. I don't like fat people, if you can tell. Well, it's not that I don't like them, it's just that I find them infuriating. I find a lot of them infuriating. Because they just keep making excuses. Instead of taking accountability and admitting that they are in the spot in which they are because they cannot control themselves. I just find that most of them keep making excuses instead of taking accountability for their actions.
quit out of frustration. And among those disciplined enough, results are pretty modest, 5 to 10% of weight lost in a year. The new drugs change that completely. In 3 months, you can lose 10% of your initial weight. 3 months later, over 15. And after a year, you may reach more than 20%.
And you could easily do this
a level of
without the
weight
drug
loss
too.
that used to only really be achievable through bariatric surgery. In other words, GLP-1 drugs make excess weight melt away like nothing before. We can't stress enough at how unhealthy obesity is, causing everything from diabetes to heart attacks and cancer. So the consequences for health are stunning. Treatment with semaglutide cuts your risk of stroke or heart attack by 20%. 17 months of tirzepatide crashes your chances of developing diabetes by 66%. They also reduce sleep apnea, improve kidney and liver function, lower inflammation, cut cancer risk, and may potentially slow Alzheimer's. They might even boost fertility, as obesity often disrupts hormones and increases complications during pregnancy. And there may be more positive long-term effects. Some of these benefits
what?
are a direct result of weight loss, but intriguingly, they sometimes occur regardless of how much weight has been lost, and some have been seen in patients who weren't obese to begin with. We don't know why yet, but it seems like turning up the GLP-1 signal is synchronizing the whole metabolic orchestra, restoring a balance between brain, gut, and body. And, as if that weren't enough, GLP-1 drugs may also quiet other cravings. They seem to reduce the use of alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, and opioids. Large trials are underway to confirm these effects. If the results hold, they could become something unprecedented, real anti-addiction drugs. But of course, there are side effects. Most commonly, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and constipation. Not fun, but usually harmless and fleeting for the vast majority of patients. More serious stuff like pancreatitis, kidney problems, or gallbladder disease do happen, but for well under 5% of people. Apart
That's
from
still
this,
quite a
the
lot,
main downside
5%.
of GLP-1 drugs may come from their greatest strength, rapid weight loss. If you don't actively check what you eat, taking these drugs is just like an unhealthy crash diet. Any steep calorie deficit requires resistance training and plenty of protein, or else you'll lose a lot of muscle along with the fat. That's harmful at any age, but especially after 40, when building muscle gets harder and the risk of falls starts to rise. So, while these drugs change your biology, they don't do all the work for you. Staying healthy still requires you to adopt healthy habits.
And this right here is why I think these drugs won't work. Because people will take them because they think, oh, this will make me lose the weight. No, it won't. They're still gonna eat the shitty food that they ate before and nothing's gonna change. These drugs are not gonna help. I just don't believe it. If people don't have the motivation, they don't actually put in the work themselves, these drugs won't do shit.
After about a year, the weight loss slows down and eventually stops in most people. At this point, you usually stop using the medication. If you use that time to change your eating habits, you have a really good chance of keeping the lost weight off.
Which
But
people
about
won't do.
25% regain a significant chunk, and some 20% put back on all of it. So
Yeah,
for many,
see?
maintaining the results may mean staying on the drug forever. Is this a bad idea?
Yes.
Well, we don't know. The newest generation of drugs is just too new, so there's no long-term data. The first GLP-1s from 2005
The fact you need a drug
issues. Based on what we know today,
to
it
lose
seems
weight
pretty clear
is
that
already an
living with
issue.
the drugs looks much
Especially
healthier
when
than living
it's
with
because you
obesity.
simply eat too much and you eat crappy
Conclusion
food.
and opinion. A recent study modeled what would happen if millions of US adults who are obese or overweight got GLP-1 drugs for life. In just 2 years, about 50% of all obesity in the country would vanish. Over the years, it would prevent 26 million cases of diabetes.
I don't believe
13
any of
million
this.
Cases of
Sorry.
heart disease, and 5.5
I just don't
million
think people will
premature
stick to
deaths,
it.
which seems like a pretty good thing. And new drugs that are in final trials promise to work even better. Defeating obesity suddenly feels within reach. Right now, the biggest obstacles are actually supply shortages and high prices. But these are artificial problems. In the long run, increased production and plummeting costs seem almost guaranteed. So, should we just inject obesity away? Well,
No.
for now at least, it seems that there are few downsides. Although, please don't listen to internet videos and talk to your doctor before you make any decisions for yourself.
I am 100% sure that pretty much every doctor's gonna be like, this drug, it's a last resort. Because you don't fucking need it. Even if you take the drug, you still need to make good habits, change your lifestyle, change your diet. You just don't fucking need this drug. You just don't.
It's also important to remember that while these drugs are immensely helpful, they are not magic. They make a hard thing easier, but it still requires you to change your habits and put in some effort. But even
Okay, that's
with
basically what
all
I
of
just
these
said.
caveats, it seems the future just got a whole lot healthier.
Honestly, this is a video I hate. I mean, no, the video's good, but I just can't. Yeah, I've been very negative this video. Sorry if I've offended anyone who's overweight, but I just can't get behind this drug. No. This drug is pointless too. It's not gonna change anything. If the food you eat is garbage, which in the US a lot of food is garbage, and bad for your health, then this drug won't help you. And it pisses me off how they're literally now making drugs for obesity. You don't need a fucking drug to get rid of fat. You just have to control yourself. Change your diet. Eat smaller portions. Start using your brain instead of your stomach. I'm also just not believing in this food noise thing. Like, nah. Hell no. You have a brain, don't you? If you know something's bad for you, if you know it's gonna make you gain weight, stop fucking eating it. You have a brain, you can think for yourself. This whole video honestly just sounds like excuses from overweight people trying to justify not being able to lose weight. That's what this entire video sounds like to me. Yeah, this video's just really pissed me off. I just don't fucking get it. Losing weight is so fucking easy. And these motherfuckers will still tell you they need drugs to do it. If you're disciplined enough to wake up in the morning, take a shower, eat breakfast, and go to work every single day, then you should be disciplined enough to be able to control what the fuck you eat. Also, here's the thing. If you don't want to stay on a diet, you don't want to eat healthy because you're just too lazy to do that, then fuck you. I hope you stay overweight. Because at this point, it's just your fault. You're putting yourself on a fucking drug for life, which might get you addicted. Just because you can't stop eating and change your diet into something healthy. Oh my god. Every time I think I've seen the stupidest thing ever, I just see something even more stupid. To me, somebody who needs these drugs to lose weight is already a lost cause. A waste of time. It's also kind of funny because even if people take these drugs and they lose weight, the majority of them will still have the same shit diet they have because they're gonna expect this drug to do the work for them and they're not gonna try and change their life. They're just gonna be like, oh, so I can still eat fucking McDonald's every single day and still lose weight? That's great. People are still gonna eat the same shit food. And even if they do lose weight, what does it matter? They're still destroying their bodies with the crap they ingest. They're still not healthy. They're still undisciplined. And they still just can't take accountability. They just want a fucking drug which does the work for them. Whatever, I'm done. See you in the next video.